I've said before, I talked to my wife about this, and I talked to her about this principle, this mentality of adding an extra day to the week, or adding an extra year to the 10-year span, or adding an extra 20 years to your life. And it may sound crazy, but it's a very, very simple concept. Because if you wake up at, let's say, 9 o'clock every morning, and then you go to bed at 9 o'clock every night. So what will happen according to time? You know what I'm saying? We talk about adding more time to our week, more time to our year, more time to our life. Like we're talking about adding 20 years to our life. Like, is that possible? Yes, it is. Because think about this. If you wake up at 9 o'clock every morning, go to bed at 9 o'clock every night, you have a certain amount of hours that you have access to, that you used, that you utilized that week. Well, what happens if you start waking up at 8 o'clock and going to bed at 10 o'clock? And then what happens if you start waking up at 7 o'clock and going to bed at 11 o'clock? And then what happens if you start going to bed, waking up at 6 o'clock a.m., going to bed at 12 o'clock, and so on and so forth? And we get to the point to where champions are made, waking up between 3 and 5. What happens if you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, 3:30, and then you go to bed at 11 o'clock at night? What happens to your time? You gain more. You literally gain a higher percentage of time, and you can almost add a whole year to your life. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can double up on years if you do that each and every day. By the end of the year, you may have added 2 days into one, if y'all can understand what I'm saying. P2P motivation, here we go. All right, y'all, we did it. We made it through another week. We've made it to another Friday. And hopefully you all have been encouraged by the things you have seen on this GodCast, on these P2P motivations, on this channel, because we put in a lot of work on this channel so that we can help you to maximize and fulfill your destiny. So we can help you to not recidivize, but to overcome the things that you have been through and not return to those things that you have been through. But as we end this week, the thought that I had on my mind is that we don't have to stop at 100%. Be 1% better each and every day. Because I think that I was thinking about growth, and I was thinking about how I've done some things in my life and kept up with analytics, mainly with YouTube. And at a certain point of our YouTube channel, the analytics said 100% better. And then at a certain point, the analytics said 110% better. And then at a certain point, it went from 110 to 120. And we even got to a certain point on our main channel, IAG Farms, where it said that we were 10,000% better. I didn't even know that existed. I thought that things stopped at 100%. When people say give 120 or 110%, I didn't know that was an actual thing. But in business, as I become a business owner as well, and a businessman, and you keep up with numbers, literally, this is a way to make it simple. In order to be more than 100%, to be 200% better than you were in business, if you make $100 this month, if next month you make $200, that literally makes you 200% better than you were last month. Like, you increased double, you know what I'm saying? And if you make, $300, then you're 300%. If you make $400, y'all get the point. And in life, I think that when we're on a lower level, when we're first starting out, we can grow by leaps and bounds. Because it's like, if you start out at 0, it's easy to go from 0 to 50, because you're still not giving it all. But once you get from 50 to 70, then it's like from 70 to 80, it's like the higher you get, it seems as if the more demand, or the closer you get to giving it all, is what I'm saying, is the lower percentage that you can increase. Because when you're at 0, it's not a whole lot to give 30% because you weren't trying at all in the beginning, but now you're trying just a little bit, and now you went from trying just a little bit to now you're trying more, so you can jump from 30 to 50. But once you get to 100% and you're literally giving everything you have, every resource, every amount of energy, every this, every that, and then I say, well, let's be better than 100%. And you're like, how is that possible? How is it possible after I've given everything for me to give more? I don't have any left. And my answer to that is be 1% better each and every day. And before you know it, if you're 1% better each and every day, at the end of the week, how many percentages better are you? You're 7% better than you were last week. And then if you give 1% more each and every day the next week, now after 2 weeks, you're 14% better. And before you know it, you're 200% better, 300% better, 400% better. So I'm telling you that there's more in you that you haven't tapped into. There's more potential that you haven't tapped into. There's more energy that you haven't tapped into. I've said before, I talked to my wife about this, and I talked to her about this principle, this mentality of adding an extra day to the week, or adding an extra year to the 10-year span, or adding an extra 20 years to your life. And it may sound crazy, but it's a very, very simple concept. Because if you wake up at, let's say, 9 o'clock every morning, and then you go to bed at 9 o'clock every night. So what will happen according to time? You know what I'm saying? We talk about adding more time to our week, more time to our year, more time to our life. Like we're talking about adding 20 years to our life. Like, is that possible? Yes, it is. Because think about this. If you wake up at 9 o'clock every morning, go to bed at 9 o'clock every night, you have a certain amount of hours that you have access to, that you used, that you utilized that week. Well, what happens if you start waking up at 8 o'clock and going to bed at 10 o'clock? And then what happens if you start waking up at 7 o'clock and going to bed at 11 o'clock? And then what happens if you start going to bed, waking up at 6 o'clock a.m., going to bed at 12 o'clock, and so on and so forth? And we get to the point to where champions are made, waking up between 3 and 5. What happens if you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, 3:30, and then you go to bed at 11 o'clock at night? What happens to your time? You gain more. You literally gain a higher percentage of time, and you can almost add a whole year to your life. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can double up on years if you do that each and every day. By the end of the year, you may have added 2 days into one, if y'all can understand what I'm saying. And that's literally I apply that to my life, because I had, as a businessman, as a content creator, managing these different channels, managing life, managing our real estate, managing some of the different business things that we have going on. It's like time is the most valuable thing that there is, because when you work for somebody else, you take your time and you sell your time, and they give you money for your time. But when you're operating and running your own business, it's like, it doesn't work like that. You know what I'm saying? Because you just need more time so you can make more money, or more increase, or more profit. And it's like, time is one thing that I never have enough of as a businessman. And so I went from getting up at 5 o'clock to getting up at 4 o'clock to getting up at 3 o'clock. Why? Because I add more time. I take more time back. Like, I'm not giving time away. I'm trying to figure out, as a businessman, how to buy more time back, or how to utilize more time. And that's my thought for today, or my thought as we end this week, is how can we be, or let's be 1% better each and every day. Let's not stop when we get to 100%. Let's not stop when we're giving our all. Let's not stop because we think, I've given my all. I'm getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to bed at 10 o'clock at night. I'm giving everything I have. I'm taking Saturday and Sunday off. You know what I'm saying? But there may be a season in your life where you say, hey, instead of waking up at 5 for a small season, this may not be sustainable for forever, but I'm gonna wake up at 3:30. I'm gonna gain another hour and a half or 2 hours in the morning, and I'm gonna go to bed an hour later. And that's where champions are made. If you're trying to start a business, That's your schedule. You have to get there. You have to get up before everybody else. You have to get there before everybody else. And you have to leave after everybody else and go to sleep after everybody else. And everybody's not made for that type of lifestyle. Like I say, you can't run a business unless you have employees. You know what I'm saying? So some people have to be employees, and they do a very, very good job at being employees. You have to have people working behind the scenes in order for the show to go on. But I just want to encourage you that you can give 100%, and the next day just try to give 101%, you know. And then if you get to a point where you're at 105% and you feel burnt out, just stop there, you know, and let that 105% just ride out for a couple weeks. But then you may get to another week and you may be motivated and inspired and encouraged. Go ahead and give 106%, 107%. And by the end of that week, you may have given 3 more percent, you know, to whatever you're doing. So my encouragement is be 1% better each and every day. And if you're giving your all, as long as you're not burnt out, as long as you're not you've not maxed out your potential, as long as you've not maxed out whatever that thing is in that area, it's like continue to try to be better. And as we end this week on this Friday for this P2P motivation, I just want to encourage you all with that, leave you with that, and tell you all how great of a job you're doing. You're reading your Bibles more. You're telling people about Jesus. You're showing up to work on time. You're showing up to work early. You're not leaving before it's time to leave. You're not clock watching, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're actually doing the job that you've been paid to do, and you're not just like on the clock, just riding the clock, you know what I'm saying? You're actually providing a service and making this world a better place. And so when it comes to business, when it comes to ministry, when it comes to family, you're spending more time with your family. You're spending more time with your family. You're spending more time with your kids. You're like locking in and being the best version of yourself that you can possibly be. And I want to encourage y'all and tell y'all thank you for being the best version of you that you can possibly be, because that's what I want to do. That's my goal. I don't want to, at the end of my life, to have any regrets. I want everything, every stone to be turned, every rock to be moved, every area that every area that I can go in and like occupy or take territory in or dominate, I want those areas to be dominated, and I want my borders to be expanded. Like there's a song that says expand my territory. I want to continue to expand my territory in every area that God wants me to. But with that being said, I want y'all to be encouraged. Y'all stay motivated. We're here to help you unlock your purpose, here to help you maximize your potential, here to help you not return back to the things that you came from, but we're here to lock in your freedom, because whom the Son sets free is free indeed. And we wouldn't be here without Jesus. Jesus is the reason that we can give 100%, that we can give 1% more each day, that we can show up on time, that we can leave on time, that we can give our all. Jesus is the reason, because he says greater works can we do. He says we can be more than conquerors. He says if someone asks us to go 1 mile, compels us to go 1 mile, he says, you say, give me more. And he says, let's go 2. For real. But anyway, y'all be blessed, and we'll just see y'all next week. Today is Friday. We'll see y'all early Monday morning with the next P2P motivation. So until then, y'all have a good weekend. Y'all be blessed, and we'll see y'all on the next one.